Cue up the first panelists. Let's get Courtney Prost from King of the Hammers and Cam Douglas from Optima Battery up. Hi, Courtney. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm wonderful. How are you?
All right. Good morning so far. Just getting started. And then Cam Douglas. Cam, do you have your name on your screen so we can pull you up? We can find you. Raise your hand.
I think it's on there.
There it is. There he is. All right. Right on. All right.
Well, cool. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So I'm going to start out sort of with an overview of why brands sponsor. You know, in sponsorships, it's not about going to a company and offering, and some of you have heard this before, so just bear with me for a couple minutes because this is really important for the new people on the call. It's not about a logo on your helmet, your race suit, or your car. Sponsorship is about a lot more than that. You have to become an extension of the business. You have to learn to be a partner of that business. And to do that, you have to understand what the business is. So the very first thing you do with sponsorships is understand, why do brands sponsor? You know, what do they look for? What is the reason that they're investing? And it is ROI, is return on investment. It is an investment in you, investment in racing. Different companies have different needs. Retailers, they want foot traffic into their stores. So if they're sponsoring you, they're trying to help you get foot traffic into the store or even onto their website. Service companies, they usually want to generate leads. They want to be top of mind at the time when you need that service. Manufacturers, they want to prove functionality. So they want to be on the podium. The beverage companies and food companies, they're looking for sampling. Very different needs from different types of companies. So you don't approach all four of those companies the same way. You use different approaches. And then you have to think about, within each industry, who does that company sell to? For example, do they sell direct to consumers? Do they sell to retail stores? Do they sell to distributors who sell to retail stores? What is their distribution channel? Boxo USA, they sell direct. Optima Battery, they sell through retailers. Two very different strategies. A lot of parts and aftermarket parts manufacturers, they typically sell to mechanics who then sell to a customer who's getting a car repaired or an install. And knowing the distribution channel helps you approach that brand by becoming an extension of their marketing and extension of their sales. And then also you have to realize, people consume media very differently. Older people like myself, you know, I still like to read magazines and newspapers. I'm a little bit more of a Facebook guy. As the generations get younger, it goes to Instagram and Snapchat, and then even younger, it goes to TikTok. Some people read, some people watch videos, some people watch live streams, some people just use word of mouth. That's how they get their information. So understanding how people consume their media is also very important, because that's how you're going to transfer that the knowledge that you have about the brand to the consumer of the brand, the customer of the brand. That's how you're going to educate the brand's customers about that brand's products. And it's very, very, very important. So before you call a company, know what business they're in, know who their customer is, know who what their customer considers value, and then know their different products. I actually had not a motorsports athlete, but I had an athlete ask me once to call on his behalf a manufacturer. And I said, oh, that's great. I think it's a great company. Let's do it. It was a really good brand to target. And I said, what are their top 5 products? He couldn't tell me. I said, look, there's no way we're going to get in a meeting with these people if you don't even know what they sell. What are their top 5 products? It was a med tech company, with a lot of money. So if you don't know the difference between an Optima battery, the orange top, the blue top, the yellow top, the red top, if you don't know the difference, don't call Cam at Optima. Is that right, Cam? Is that a fair thing to say? Is, if I don't know the different colors of your battery tops, I probably shouldn't be on the phone asking you for sponsorship.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely need to know who you're talking to.
So let's go a little deeper. What is it then that Optima Battery looks for when sponsoring properties like King of the Hammers, because you entitle some of the events at King of the Hammers, or when you sponsor race teams? What is it specifically that you're looking for?
Well, you know, we've had these conversations before, and I thought I'd take maybe a little different tack today. There's, you know, the nuts and bolts that we always seem to gravitate to, you know, what's your how many followers do you have on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and how many views do you have, and how many races have you won? All those things that are typically in a proposal, those are things that I take for granted, and that checks a box for me. But there are, I think, things that I never see in a proposal, right? And I think those are some of the things that you allude to, that that about the product, you use the product, you're excited about it, you're passionate about it. Those are kind of the unwritten things, the things that aren't in a proposal, but there's kind of a list that I've got that always resonate whenever the team gets together and we're talking about, who the great partners that we have, who they are, what they do, where others could improve, etc. But there's, whether it's an event or whether it's a team, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's a athlete, professional, whatever that partnership is, there's some key things that are important. One is chemistry with our teams, our agencies, our internal group, and the other pros that are on our team, that we get along. There's a chemistry element that's hard to measure, but you got it when you got it, right? It's somebody who's a genuine contributor, and I'll go into the reasons why, but I want to run through this list real quick. Someone who provides creative suggestions and solutions when we have something that we've got to solve. They got a can-do attitude. I can name several instances where we call somebody and say, "Hey, I got an event this weekend. I need to do an autograph session. I need the drift taxi there, whatever." And several come to mind that just never say no. They look for ways to make it happen. And at the end of the day, my last bullet point here, and I can go into some detail, but they contribute to the workload, not add to it. Okay. And there's a big reason for that one. I can kind of go into a little detail if you'd like.
Do you have examples of people who have added to it, like what not to do? I like that. Contribute. Well, you always hear that a lot. Give me solutions, not questions.
Yeah, they're not on the team. But this really stems from, kind of, I'll lay some cards on the table here. A lot of people don't know, maybe, but Optima is owned by a much larger organization called Clarios, and we manufacture 70% of the automotive batteries in the automotive market. So chances are pretty good you've got a Clarios battery underneath your hood. We make most of the OE batteries, and we make batteries for other people, right? We put their brand on it. Optima Batteries is the only brand that we own. So given that, we're a big, large organization that focuses every day on making black boxes, filling up trailers, and sending them out to our partners. Optima Batteries is different. We actually have a marketing group, right? But as big as Optima may seem or may be perceived, there's 4 people. There's 4 of us. One of them, that's my team of 4, and I've got one person on my team is responsible for some of our big legacy accounts and business development. He manages the military and Amazon and a couple other important, larger, high maintenance accounts for us, right? And I have another one that's responsible for product development. That's his goal, and he has some responsibility there for marketing those new products and launching them, but that's his focus, and he's an engineer / marketer, right? And then I have one more who's responsible for all of our digital presence. The bulk of the marketing resides on me. So I don't have a big staff, running through and evaluating opportunities for me. I do have the luxury of some wonderful agencies that we've been with for a long time. But as far as my office goes and the people that I communicate with on a daily basis, it's the team of four.
It's the team of
And
four. I like that. Well, let me ask this then. What is when the team of four is selecting between sponsoring an athlete or a driver versus sponsoring a property like King of the Hammers? What criteria do you look at of where the money goes, whether you're sponsoring teams and athletes versus properties and events?
Sure.
How do you make that decision?
And again, Alex, going back just a sec, I don't want to say this, that this team of four, like we're all stressed out over all the time or whatever. I just want to let people know that, their proposal doesn't get evaluated in a day or 24 hours or 48 hours. And in order, there are ways that you can get a leg up, right? But if I've typically speaking, that first introduction to somebody goes through a different process. If we have an agency, FM3 Marketing, that does most of our event activation and also has a sponsorship evaluation person that looks at everything that comes in through the internet, everything that comes in through our website. We do direct people there to start there. Generally speaking, though, those are for product sponsorship.
Okay.
Do those come to me unless they're such a fantastic opportunity or whatever that hey, it stands out from the rest, right? And if you ask how does it stand out from the rest, that's where somebody has to be pretty creative, right?
Right. Well, let me ask this then. Let's go to Courtney real quick, because you entitle some of the classes and the events at King of the Hammers. What, Courtney, do you do on behalf of Optima Battery, and how does King of the Hammers sort of fulfill what Cam was talking about, his marketing needs? How do you do that from a property perspective, and how can you help your teams get involved and do that from the team perspective?
So what I look to do is I essentially, what's one step better than everyone else is doing.
Oh, I like that.
So I look at, so you can apply this to anyone, whether it's to a company or to like a personal racer. And so for me, looking at Optima, I take and look at the contract. So, they have X number of posts that they need to be shown through the year. They have a press release, and I'm making this up, but say they have 5 posts through the event, a press release, they need to be shown, X number of times on the Jumbotron. Right. So I take those things and I mark them down and make sure they're going to be done with our team. But then what else can I do? Where else am I going to see them? So, Kim and I were talking about this before, that, okay, I went to PRI last year. So Optima is going to be at PRI. I reach out to Cam and to, his team members who are going to be there. Well, let's say, hey, are you guys going to be there? What can I do for you there? How can I get them involved in my activation there, our activation? I do live social with them. Nice. I, put them with the group that's going to be there. I invite them to speak with our group. I do the recaps of our stuff for King of the Hammers and include Optima in them, tagging them, putting them in our reels on our social.
So you're acting as their agent on behalf of social to a certain degree by conducting that social for them. And actually you were saying to me, I saw you at Off-Road Expo, but before that we were talking and you had mentioned how social is changing because now there are creator accounts versus personal accounts. How does that affect how you represent brands like Optima or even drivers that you're putting in social? How does that relate? The different types of accounts that they have on social now, creator versus personal.
Well, just making sure that you have the correct kind of account for what you're looking to do. So, business, creator, professional. obviously you always want to make sure that you, if you're a brand, that you want to have creator accounts or professional accounts, so you're having access to the, music, and that you're able
Okay.
to have the best libraries possible and
Got it.
tools possible when you're creating content. And so you're able to push better. You're able to look at, professional dashboards and analytics, and, making sure that your reach is there, looking at when your audience is online, and maximizing those tools that the meta's giving you.
Then you were also mentioning, when it comes to the social, is you're not just creating clips. It's not about, hey, let's do a quick clip and put it online, but you're actually creating a storyline. You're creating many clips that paint this picture and tell a story over time. It's kind of like a dot on a piece of paper. One dot doesn't say very much, but you put 1,000 or 1,000,000 dots, you can actually paint a very clear photo or image of something. We have a fly flying around here and it just landed on my nose. You gotta love that. So how does the story develop over time and through social media? How can you create that?
Absolutely. I had this conversation yesterday with a competitor that said, I'm looking to start gathering some content on a competitor for King of the Hammers this year. And he's like, oh, well, I can have someone grab this for you, wherever we're at. And I said, I'd really like our team to be able to meet with you at these points, if you can let me know where you're going to be when. And he, not quite understanding what we're looking to do, that it's not just a regular social piece, but we're wanting to tell a story. So when you're looking to really build a storyline, people get to know you. They get to, they want to follow you. They want to cheer for someone. And so whether that's a brand or a person, when they feel like they can speak, when they feel like you're speaking to them and with them and conversing with them, they get attached to you, and they want to root for you. And when you're talking to them from a business standpoint rather than from a person, when you are engaging with them, always respond to your comments. Don't get in a fight with someone online.
Exactly.
Don't respond to ridiculous comments. Or if somebody does want to start, picking at you for something online, always, hey, so sorry you feel that way. Send us a message and we're more than happy to talk with you about it.
And then you actually walk
like
through the pits and you look for stories. So these are not manufactured stories. These are actual stories of what's happening at the time. And you're looking to tell the story for drivers that are in the pits, and stories developing because there's tension during the race weekend and rivalries, heroes, villains, conflict, struggle. You got all the elements of Grecian mythology. So if you can pull out the rivalries among teams and tell that story through social, that gives a little bit of publicity to those teams. And then I also want to hear, I'm going to switch to Cam here in just a second, but Cam, I want to hear about, how do you tell the story of a brand like Optima? First, Courtney, I know you'll tell the story through drivers and athletes, and then the brands sort of attach themselves to the athletes. But if a brand sponsors King of the Hammers like Optima does, how is it that you tell that story?
Well, King of the Hammers is a perfect example for us, and obviously the off-road segment stems from the simple fact that trucks are depends on the year, but half or more of the vehicles sold in the U.S., and that's just a massive market for us, and and obviously off-road stems from that. So it's super important for us to tell the story of durability, the ultimate power source, the absolute abuse that our product goes through. So the toughness, the reliability, the durability of the product is it's a perfect venue for that.
So last time we talked, you had told me about an activation that was really good by one of the Wisex teams at an event, and that in a way told a story, but it didn't just tell the story of the brand, at an event, but it explained the product functionality of one of your new batteries.
Yep. I mean,
Tell us that. That's a good one. I like that.
sure, the event itself, obviously it's a big branding opportunity, but to your point, when we're able to share with a large group, you know, how our product can perform in real life, that's huge. And so, you know, we do a variety of, every year we try to come up with some creative activation event. And this year we're putting that together too. I kind of alluded to that for Courtney on another call, but again, it's one of those things where if I want to do a trailer park drift, right? And we have a bunch of crazy carts with a bunch of professionals drifting around a track with lithium batteries in them, or we want to do a Optima Unplugged event, EV community, which you know, we're making low voltage 12-volt product that powers some of the new EVs, and we did that last year with heavily attended by Rivians and Lightnings and all kinds of interesting vehicles. Those are the type of activities that for us paid dividends much longer after the King of Hammers event is done.
Right.
What a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, you put all this money into sponsoring or partnering with an event. That event takes place over a day, a weekend, a week. If all you're doing is putting banners up, after that's done, your investment's gone. So it's how do you create something that creates a lasting impression, right? Or that continues to pay dividends throughout the year through content, etc. And that's one of the things that Courtney does well. She checks the boxes on my unwritten list, the things that aren't included in proposals, right?
That's excellent. Telling the story and making sure that the story is told even after the event. I like that. That's great. And then Courtney, you're also now developing rookies and amateurs. That way they have stories to tell. Go tell us about that for a second. If I'm an amateur rookie racer on the call and I want to know how can I work with King of the Hammers in order to get myself and my sponsors more visibility, what tools are at my disposal through King of the Hammers?
Well, we're only taking applications for 2 more days for
Okay.
2024 season. Throw that out there. So, well, tying that back into Optima real quick, actually, we were going to Off-Road Expo this past weekend. That was one of the stops on the 2024 rookie tour. And Cam and Jim weren't going to be at Off-Road Expo. So I invited them to speak with our group. And so that was one of the things that, you know, I asked our videographer on site with us to go and make sure, because Optima had a booth. So please go make sure you have a glamour clip, you know, a shot of Optima. And so even though they weren't going to be on site to speak, I wanted them to make sure that they got a shot of Optima's booth, so we could at least put a shot in our highlight reel that we posted after the event, so I could tag them. And, you know, and we pushed out, so Optima still got a, you know, a highlight in there, and then they shared our reel too. So it's true partnership. It's not a sponsorship, and everyone should look at that in all directions. So it's not just for the sponsor, you know, we like calling them partners. It's not just on their behalf, like they're helping us too. They're pushing that. If you build that relationship, and that's really what, you know, we are trying to do and putting to a culture as well, is it goes both ways. They're helping us to push our stuff, and we're seeing it in our metrics. And so,
oh, nice. What kind of metrics do you look at? I'm curious.
Just analytics. So look at your analytics, both Google Analytics and through your metas and stuff. And, you know, we're really taking a deep dive to look at the people consuming our social media are the consumers of our race. And so they're the people attending our race and the people who are racing with us. And so now that helps us know, okay, we have that market. So now how do we look outside that market and expand the demographic? Because we have the right people watching and consuming the stuff we're putting out there now. So now it gives us another, you know, a set of data to expand upon.
Nice.
But to answer your question about the rookies. So the rookie program is a program we started with last year, and it was a program to look at a 4,400 racer and essentially have them help us teach people how to come and race King of the Hammers. We started receiving the applications and we said, why do we have one person teach everyone when we can help so many? And so that's where we spiraled and took them all. And we, less than 25% of the people who start our race actually finish it. And so we wanted to, help make it a less overwhelming feat for people to get to and then compete. And
let
so
me interrupt real quick. I have a question is, if I'm a rookie and I'm just starting out, so I don't have a large social following yet, and a lot of people I'm not connected to a lot of people on social media, can I lever your social media to get myself more visibility and promote my sponsors?
So that's one thing that, for example, the expo that we were just at, we had 43 rookies come out to it and join us for the day. And a large majority of them said, first of all, you're going to get out of whatever you want from the program, whatever you put into it. There were a couple who got up and didn't sit in a lot of the sessions. They're not really going to get anything out of it. If you ask questions from the speakers and the guests and the veterans, you're going to take a lot away from it. Some of them walked around and started speaking to people. And when you go to shows like that, Cam and other vendors and sponsors on this call can attest to all the people who walk up to you at those shows.
Oh, yeah.
They have something else to add to it. Hey, I'm a King of the Hammers rookie. I'm going to get to the start line this year. And these are the things I'm doing because of it. I'm learning from these people, and they're learning those different ways, and they can leverage. We're teaching them. They're hearing from people like Cam. They heard from Chris Corbett on Chris Corbett from Nitto Tires. If you don't have a tire sponsorship, this is how to buy tires in a smart way. We even had General Tires come and speak, communication and content manager at the show. And so everybody's friends. And
Nice.
so Blake Wilkie came and spoke about, his marketing and how he got to where he was. And so it was a full day of speakers, like every 30 minutes. And
so you provide a platform where people can get up and educate. More experienced racers can educate the new racers. That's excellent. And I was going to throw it over to Cam real quick before we have to end the session. Is what does Optima do, or does Optima also develop drivers and talent and help with social media and help? Sometimes you get a great racer, someone who can drive fast, but they don't yet know how to market very well because they've spent their whole life racing and learning to become the best racer in the world. Does Optima help? And if so, how?
Well, we do as much as we can. I mean, Jim is, there to help. Our agencies definitely get involved and try to put together, before the year starts, try to put together a strategy and manage it and strategy and goals, and then try to track on those goals. So yeah, there is definitely some coaching along the way, but not I wouldn't say a documented process at this time.
Well, let me ask this, and we have 2 minutes left. I'll give you a minute, Cam, and then Courtney gets a minute. What last words of advice do you have? Recommendation, tips, tricks? Just racers on the call want to get sponsored. They want to create more value for current sponsors. What advice do you have that you think maybe they haven't heard yet?
Well, and this kind of ties into what I was talking about earlier, but we kind of have, so there's kind of two main levels of sponsorship. Are you looking for a product sponsorship and you're going to put a decal on the car? That's pretty basic stuff, right? And we're typically there to help if you're in a professional arena, right? We're typically pretty easy to work with. So give us a shot, fill out the form on our website. The next one, paid sponsorships. Again, I was trying to kind of lay out those unwritten things, but the single biggest piece of advice I can give you is become friends with either our current partners, or meet us at events. become known. A piece of paper is not a great introduction, but a personal one-on-one. We are at over
You're at everything.
365 events a year, and we have representatives at those events. And if you're racing with one of our current racers, be friends with them.
Right
Get
on.
your name known.
I totally agree with that. Sometimes you need a partner to bring you into a new community because a partner gives credibility. Courtney, 60 seconds. Any last words of advice? And thank you, Cam. I appreciate that. And then while Courtney's up, we're going to queue up Tom Kelly and Matt Burrows from Monster Energy. Courtney, last words of advice to a racer on the call seeking sponsorship.
Yep. So I talk about metrics and analytics, and those are all extremely important to know that you're doing the right thing in the right direction. But use those as a guide. The biggest thing is, how can you be different? So how can you be different, and how can you be just a little bit better?
Yeah.
So take a look at what you're doing and how can you stand out? Make sure that people, as hard as it is, how can you show your personality? Put your face in front of it. And I know that especially competitors do not like to put their face out there. But one thing I tell all the rookies is, go practice. Say, hey, how are you? My name's Courtney. Do it in front of the mirror. And I know that the guys laugh at me specifically, but they say it works. Like, people don't like it's introducing themselves, making that first impression, having energy when you do it so that people can remember you. How can you do it different? Do it on camera. You know, when you're doing a walk around your car, like, just push stuff out there, be consistent with it. And don't just do what you have to do. Do it one step better.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. In fact, the media training, I think, is critical, because when a racer does start to win and become public, they start to get more media, and that often is a very uncomfortable time for them. So,
Yeah.
Courtney, Cam, thank you very much. That was an excellent session. Thank you. We'll see you at the next Motorsports Sponsorship Summit, which is going to be in January.